Have you ever met someone whose kindness felt like medicine? Not the kind you find in a bottle or prescribed by a doctor, but the sort of healing that comes from a simple gesture, a smile, a gentle touch, a word spoken softly in a moment of fear. Sometimes the most powerful medicine is invisible, yet its effects linger long after the moment has passed. We spend our lives searching for cures, for answers, for ways to fix what's broken. But in the quiet corners of a hospital, healing often arrives in unexpected forms. It can be found in the warmth of a hand, the reassurance in a nurse's eyes, or the simple act of being present when someone feels alone. These moments, though small, can change the course of a day, or even a life. This is a story about such a light that shines not from a lamp or the sun, but from the heart of a person who chooses to care. In the sterile, echoing hallways of a hospital, where hope sometimes feels distant, this light can make all the difference. It began with a chance meeting, a man who seemed to have everything the world could offer, and a woman whose gentle spirit was her greatest gift. Their paths crossed in a hospital room, a place where titles and status fade away and only our shared humanity remains. He was Klaus Richter, a titan of industry, known for his sharp mind and relentless drive. She was Maria, a nurse who saw her work not just as a job, but as a calling, a way to bring comfort and dignity to those in need. While Klaus was used to making deals and commanding boardrooms, Maria's strength was quieter, but no less powerful. Their worlds collided in a place where life is measured in beeps and drips, where time seems to slow and every moment is precious. Here, the language of business is replaced by the language of care, and vulnerability is worn openly, like a hospital bracelet. Klaus Richter, the German billionaire, was about to discover that the most valuable assets in life aren't listed on any stock exchange. In this room, surrounded by uncertainty, he would learn lessons that no amount of money could buy, lessons about compassion, humility, and the true meaning of wealth. This story begins with a diagnosis, a moment that strips away all pretense and reminds us that beneath our titles, our achievements, and our wealth, we are all fragile beings. Illness is the great equalizer, and in its shadow, we are forced to confront what truly matters. In that hospital, Klaus was no longer a billionaire or a business leader. He was simply a patient, waiting, hoping for a sign of comfort. And it was Maria, with her gentle smile and unwavering presence, who would become the light in his hallway, changing everything in ways he never expected. Klaus Richter was a man forged from ambition, his every waking moment dedicated to the pursuit of success. From humble beginnings, he had transformed himself into a titan of industry, a name whispered with awe in boardrooms across continents. He built a global empire from the ground up, brick by brick, deal by deal, never pausing to rest. His days blurred into nights, spent in the glow of city lights and the hum of private jets, always chasing the next conquest, the next milestone. Klaus owned everything he ever desired: palatial homes, rare art, the finest cars. Yet, despite the trappings of wealth, his life was a fortress of solitude, echoing with silence. The more he acquired, the emptier his world became. Relationships were transactional, measured in favors and contracts. He mistook respect for love and admiration for genuine connection, never realizing the difference until it was too late. Surrounded by people, Klaus was profoundly alone. He filled the emptiness with endless work, believing productivity could substitute for companionship. But the more he achieved, the more isolated he felt, a solitary figure in a crowded room. Then, the diagnosis came: a rare, aggressive cancer. The news struck like a thunderbolt, shattering the illusion of control he had so carefully constructed. The disease was a humbling equalizer, utterly indifferent to his wealth, power, or reputation. For the first time, Klaus faced something he could not negotiate or outmaneuver. Powerless, he lay in a stark hospital room, stripped of titles and influence, forced to confront his own mortality. The walls that once protected him now felt like a prison. His empire and fortune meant nothing now. The luxury watch on his bedside table ticked on, ignored. In the end, Klaus was just a man, vulnerable and afraid, realizing too late that time was the one thing he could never buy. Klaus was a prisoner, not in a cell of stone and iron, but in a fortress of white walls and antiseptic air. Once he had been a man of influence, a titan whose word could move mountains and whose signature could change destinies. Now he found himself confined, his world reduced to the sterile boundaries of a hospital room. Ironically, this was the very hospital he had once funded, a monument to his own success and generosity. The marble floors and gleaming name plaque outside were supposed to be symbols of hope and healing. Yet for Klaus, they had become reminders of how quickly fortune could turn, and how even the mighty could fall. His suite was the finest in the building, boasting panoramic city views and every comfort money could buy. But it was a gilded cage, a place where freedom was measured in the length of an IV tube and the timing of the next medication. The gentle hum of machines replaced the lively conversations he once enjoyed, and the only visitors were nurses and doctors, faces masked and voices hushed. Klaus, who had always thrived on control, now bristled at his helplessness. He barked orders at the nurses, trying to assert some semblance of authority, but his words rang hollow in the sterile air. The staff, aware of his reputation, tiptoed around him, careful not to provoke the man who had once been their benefactor. To them, he was Case 7B, a difficult patient, a legend now reduced to a chart and a list of medications. Their whispers echoed in the hallways, a constant reminder that his power had faded, replaced by pity and fear. The days blurred together, marked only by the ticking of the clock and the routine of painkillers. Each morning brought the same rituals, a nurse with a tray of pills, a doctor with a clipboard, and the slow, relentless passage of time. The world outside moved on, but inside, Klaus was trapped in a cycle of discomfort and longing. Alone with his thoughts, Klaus began to reflect on his life. The luxury watch on his wrist, the family photos by his bedside, these were once symbols of achievement, but now they seemed like meaningless trinkets. He wondered if all his wealth and power had truly mattered, or if they had simply distracted him from what was important. He felt himself fading, not just in body but in spirit. The physical pain was matched by a deeper ache, a sense of emptiness that no medicine could cure. Each day, he slipped further from the man he once was, his identity dissolving in the sterile silence. The real battle was not against illness, but within his own soul. Klaus found himself losing the will to fight, his once indomitable spirit now battered by loneliness and regret. The darkness pressed in, and he wondered if he would ever find his way out. Surrounded by the best medicine money could buy, Klaus realized that healing required more than technology and expertise. His body was being treated, but his spirit was withering, starved for connection and meaning. In rare moments of vulnerability, he reached out, not for medicine, but for comfort. A nurse's gentle touch, a kind word, or a glimpse of a loved one's photo offered fleeting hope. Klaus began to understand that he needed more than medicine. He needed a reason to fight, a spark to reignite his will to live. The sterile walls, once symbols of safety, now felt like a tomb for a man still breathing. The silence was suffocating, broken only by the distant sounds of life continuing elsewhere. Yet, even in the darkness, Klaus waited for a sign, a ray of sunlight, a kind gesture, a reason to hope. He longed for a light to guide him out of the shadows, to remind him that life, even in its frailest moments, was still worth living. Then, Maria walked in, a nurse with a quiet warmth. She saw a man who was suffering, not a billionaire. Her care went beyond clinical tasks. She treated him with dignity. Maria's stories of simple joys were a window into a different world. Klaus found himself truly listening, waiting for her footsteps. Her kindness was pure, unconditional, a gift freely given. In her presence, a fragile seed of hope began to sprout. He started to eat, talk, and feel human again. Maria was a gentle rain on the barren landscape of his soul. The bond between Klaus and Maria deepened. She became his confidant, offering her unwavering presence. Then, news of her transfer came, and Klaus panicked. Desperate, he offered to buy the hospital to keep her by his side. The administrator explained the impossibility due to policy. Klaus, used to solving problems with money, was met with bureaucracy. In desperation, he declared he would buy the entire hospital. It was a king's offer, a man terrified of being left alone in the dark. The story of Klaus's offer spread like wildfire. Maria was flattered but unsettled by the attention. The hospital board faced a staggering offer, but the administrator felt unease. Maria spent the night contemplating the decision. She saw past the billionaire to a lonely, frightened man. The next morning, she told Klaus she couldn't be bought. She volunteered to stay, not as an employee, but as a friend. Her choice was a gift of genuine, unconditional connection. Klaus finally understood the value of her decision. It was a lesson in the priceless gift of human connection. Maria's decision was more valuable than Klaus's fortune. Her choice broke through the final walls around his heart. Tears of gratitude welled in his eyes. Maria stayed, her presence a constant light. Klaus began a different kind of healing, finding peace. He reconnected with his son and gave away his fortune. His final weeks were filled with the grace of living. Klaus learned that true wealth is in the love we give and the lives we touch.